the story. Big tech is tracking you. Your phone listens. Your data is for sale. But what if the bigger threat to privacy isn't big tech? It's the government using tech to watch you, without ever needing to build the tools themselves. To understand what's really happening behind the scenes, we turn to Professor Jess Miers, who spent years working on government affairs and tech policy at Google and Twitter before joining academia. She says it wasn't internal tracking that concerned her most. It was government access.
The big one that came up for me that I think probably scares me the most, it's why I feel the way that I feel about the internet and the government's access to our information, are government requests. So that's when the government comes in and is requesting things like, we want access to somebody's Gmail account. I worked on lots of those issues, and Google is really good about pushing back against the government and saying, look, you need to have a court order, you need to have a warrant, you need to have the procedures in place.
It's easy to mistrust tech companies, but Miers says we should be just as concerned about who's pressuring them from the outside.
And in a time like today, when the government is not exactly, this administration is not exactly a fan of due process, I worry about things or their discussion about how they're going to be throwing homegrown criminals, whatever that means, into these death camps. I worry about what that means for how far they will step into our private information online. These companies collect a lot of information. So and I don't think that's a secret for anybody who's listening to this, right? Your browsing habits, the things that you click on when it comes to advertising, the things that you search, the things that you're communicating, these are all things that the company has access to. And so I worry less about, and maybe it's naive, but I worry less about the ways in which the private companies are using our data. And I more so worry about how are they going to be compelled to hand over that data to the government. Doesn't matter the administration. This administration particularly worries me, but I'd be concerned about the prior administration and the one before that. How much information are they willing to make available to law enforcement and the government that can be used to go around our civil liberties, our civil and digital liberties, and our due process rights, and result in some really sort of heinous policy results for all of us.
The issue isn't necessarily red or blue. It's power and the ability to quietly convert data into evidence without public oversight. In states with criminal abortion laws, governments are already seeking personal health data, including search queries, location pings, and even period tracker logs.
Can you subpoena women's health information? Folks who are using period trackers, for example, can you use that to then decide, to figure out whether they've had an abortion or not, and whether they've done so outside the law in Texas, for example? That's some pretty, in my opinion, pretty concerning issues for people. Same with genetic information as well. How can genetic information be used? So when I'm talking about privacy, I am really talking about government access to information, and these companies do have a lot of our personal information available.
But the problem isn't just what you've done, it's what someone can guess you've done by connecting dots you didn't know you were leaving.
There was one that came up a long time ago with Target, and it was like Target had predicted that a woman was pregnant before the woman even knew she was pregnant, and they did it based off of her online browsing history. It's like, if Target can do that, the government can certainly do that based on search results, period trackers, genetic and health information that's already stored. Like, again, I think you and everyone who's listening to this, they know the internet companies have access to a lot of information, and you can take those individual pieces of information that we share online and you can put them together and make inferences that could have criminal and other sorts of repercussions for folks down the line. So that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. That's the stuff that I saw when I was at Google.
So what protects you from this kind of surveillance? Not much.
We don't have a federal privacy law in this country. We don't have a federal publicity rights law. So publicity rights, for example, I believe all 50 states, maybe it's 49, it's around all 50 states have these varying different ways in which we handle publicity rights, which is this idea of, how your name and image and likeness can be used by other companies and other people without your consent in a commercial or non-commercial setting. We don't have a federal law around that. And that's something that, would address things like the AI deepfakes that we're all super worried about.
Without national privacy legislation, what companies collect is shaped by profit. What governments demand is shaped by politics, and your protection depends on which state you live in and which lawyer shows up to fight. Privacy used to mean closing the door. Now it means trusting that no one knocks, and that if they do, your data can't open it for them. As Miers points out, the internet doesn't just reflect who we are. It reflects what we tolerate.
Is removing the speech really the solution here, or is that more of a band-aid? And what are some of the more societal ills that the internet is reflecting for us? What are ways that we can sort of fix those things in the offline context so that we can better improve our online environment?
The surveillance state isn't coming. It's already here. Not built by the government, but quietly sustained by the data we hand over every day. The question isn't if we're being watched, it's who's watching, and whether anyone is watching them.